for tomorrow night. All right, guys, we talked about the Guardians in the first hour of the program, and we touched on Jose Ramirez because we were talking about the Guardians' struggles, and it's almost impossible to talk about that without talking about Jose. But we touched on something that I think surprised most people. He just crept up on us all of a sudden. He's 34 in a month. And his production is not very Jose-like. And when you look at his numbers since he's come back from surgery, I'm hoping that the hand is still a problem. And I'm guessing it is because he did get back-to-back rest days, which was kind of a surprise. If the hand is healthy, and he's healthy, and these are his numbers since coming back, and I know it's less than 100 at-bats, are we witnessing the inevitable, and that's the decline of a guy who's going to get a statue one day outside of Progressive Field?
Maybe it's just the internal optimist in me, but I want to believe that that's not the case. I want to just say, okay, you know what? This is just a bad season for Jose. And any and everything that could go wrong for him just went wrong, because for the better part of his career, we've seen him be consistent. We've seen him show up every single year and flat out dominate. And it didn't happen this year. And of course, you know, it does raise those questions because he is about to turn 34. The Guardians just gave him a boatload of money, and anybody in their right mind will be asking, like, you know what? A down year had to be coming sooner or later, but is this just a down year? Or are we truly looking at Jose at almost 34 years old to where he's on the backside and now the decline of his career? And then you ask yourself, well, he's at least going to be a part of this team until he retires. So what happens now with this lineup? You know, how does this look? Jose Ramirez, for as long as we can remember, has been an engine that drives this team. And when your engine is stalling out, the results around you are what they are, and why the Guardians are stalling out.
You know, I maybe I'm just spoiled, and you know, talking baseball in this city, it spoils you, because you know, we all remember once upon a time when the Indians was rolling, it wasn't no such thing as one person is the engine. Man, they had a Dodge Hemi, 2 engines, and they had a Lamborghini engine. Like, if Albert Bell wasn't hitting, who cares? We got Jim Thome. If Jim Thome ain't hitting, who cares? We got Manny Ramirez. If Manny Ramirez ain't hitting, listen, I mean, the power hitters from Lofton and Baerga and Sereno, we know it's ad nauseum. We know the type of players it is. But at some point, for your organization to be great, you have to have a succession plan. Right? You got to have a succession plan. When you start to get up there, Jay, you start looking around, and you're like, "There's my life insurance ready to go. Let's start looking at that 401k. I need to start putting more money into this little account, this little savings account over here, because guess what? You know you're getting older. And for the Guardians, it's supposed to be a gradual thing where it say, okay, Jose, we don't need Jose to be Jose of this stature for the next 4 or 5 years. You need somebody else to come on up through the pipeline and get their money off. You need a Bazzana. You need a DeLauder. You need somebody to say, Jose, you did the heavy lifting. Just give us Jose in spurts. And I've even been alarmed a little bit too, Jay, about the fielding.
I know. He has not looked himself in the field this year.
The fielding. I've noticed he's more demonstrative when he pops the ball up. You know, that tells me, as being a dude who plays baseball, sometimes you can see the ball well, and you feel like, 3 years ago I'd have put that in left field. Now you miss it by a little bit. Now it's pop flies. Now it's weak grounders. Those are things that are frustrating. Now, I've seen Jose more frustrated in the dugout than I've seen him in a very long time. Usually he has that energy and picking himself up, and he's telling guys, oh, don't worry, we got it. If we need a hit, I got the hit. If we need to play in the field, I got that. But it just seems like he's a little frustrated because he is not putting the material and the production out that he's used to. And that is a telltale sign of guys getting older, right? You know, you frustrated that your body is breaking down.
Yeah, if I hadn't seen a decline in his defense, I would lean more heavily on the fact that this is a bad problem with his hand. He's had this problem before. Jose notoriously has let go of the bat. He's done that a lot. In fact, there's a woman who was hit in the head by a bat that Jose let go of at Yankee Stadium. She's suing the Yankees for $10 million. He's done this throughout his career. He'll finish a swing and the bat goes flying. It's just kind of a Jose thing. So that tells me that the hands have been an issue. He's had surgery on the hamate bones in both hands. So Are they bothering him? I hope. I sincerely hope, and that we get him right in the offseason and he comes back in 2027 and is Jose again. Because we're going to need him to be Jose again. This is a team that, I said this on the air Monday and people called me out on it and said, I don't know if that's true, but it is true. We're spending less on players in 2026 than we did in the mid-90s. Figure that out. You going to buy a house in 2026 for the same price you bought it for in 1990s?
No.
Not even close. You going to buy a car for the same? Our baseball team is cheaper today than it was in the 90s. That's a mind blow to me, because salaries in Major League Baseball over that last 30 years have exploded, and we're paying our entire team less money. So all of the eggs are in the Jose basket. And what's crazy about this to me is, name a hitter on the Guardians that has had a consistent offensive year.
I have the answer.
No one.
It doesn't exist.
There's no player on the Guardians that has not gone through a terrible drought. Am I going to give up on him? No way. It's Jose Ramirez, and if anybody is capable of turning this thing around, it's him. There's a funny video clip rolling around on Instagram somewhere on Trevor Bauer's account where he tells a funny story about when he first met Jose. And it's late in April, maybe May, and he's gripping. He's hit like 183. And he makes an out, and he comes back to the dugout. And Bauer said, I don't really know him that well. I don't know if I should go up to him and say, hey, hang in there. Hey, just keep grinding. He said, I don't know what to say. So he's sitting next to him, and Jose's just staring at the scoreboard, and he sees that the batting average for himself is 183. And he looks at it for a long time, and then he goes, 183. And Bauer said he goes on an absolute rip for a month, hitting like over 400 for the month. The next thing you know, he's got Jose numbers again, hitting around 300, all of that. That's who he used to be. Does he still have that superpower? You make a great point about the frustration. I've noticed it throughout the year, particularly the last month since he's been back. For some reason, he is chasing pitches that he never chased before, particularly the high ones. He's swinging at a lot of high pitches that he can't catch up to. That's alarming to me, because his plate discipline was always on point. He always knew the strike zone. And he can be a bad ball hitter, but he's too good to do that. He should just wait for them to throw him in his zone. But what did teams used to do with Jose? They worked around him.
Yep.
Because there was no one else in the lineup that they had to fear. Well, now they don't even fear Jose.
They're coming after you.
They're coming after him, and it's amazing to me. Young rookie pitchers telling him, I'm going to challenge you with this fastball high in the zone, and I know you're not going to get it. And he swings through it, and he walks back to the dugout, and I'm like, man, I've never seen this side of Jose Ramirez.
You mentioned our payroll. I seen something yesterday. MLB owners proposed a $245.3 million salary cap and $171.2 million payroll.
Which means
floor.
we have to spend $100 million to get at the floor.
Just to get at the floor.
And you know what? All of these conversations that we've had around the Guardians, even today, as they sit here 4 games below 500, even with that, they are incredible overachievers.
Yeah.
We're bottom of the league in payroll ownership. We don't have the horses that the other teams have. Yet we've always somehow managed to make the postseason. This team is a classic overachiever, going back to the early 2000s when the big boppers were gone, and we had to do it with fill-in guys. And we've always been great at that. That's a testament to Chris Antonetti in the front office. They've always put a competitive product on the field with a checkbook that is $100 million below where the league is telling us the floor should be.
It's like creating a premium steakhouse, but you don't got no aged meat, and you don't got no ribeyes, and you don't serve filet. You doing it with just
your Ponderosa.
You doing with skirt steaks and ground sirloin. But for some reason, you got a really good chef that doctors it up, got good ingredients, you got great sides, and guess what? People love it. And it's reasonable price.
Yep.
So
now it's catching up to them.
Yes, because
and that's where the Guardians are. Their lack of spending for a decade has hit them square between the eyes. And Imagine adding $100 million of payroll to this team.
That's
Guys,
crazy.
that's 3 top-tier free agents.
That's crazy. That's
Now are they going to win the Central? Well, hell yeah, they're going to win the Central.
You get Chris Antonetti that type of money to play with.
What could he do?
Get you some baseball
What could he do? And so I know we talk in the minutia and in the micro about the players, and I've complained about Stephen Vogt, which I think his hands being forced from the front office about this is the lineup you're going to change, and we've had almost as many different lineups as we've had games played. We almost never use the same lineup twice. There's no continuity. There's no rhythm. I've talked about that ad nauseum. I think all of it goes right back to the owner, because if he spends the kind of money that he should spend, this team is running away with the Central. Away with it.
I didn't even know, man. You just told me about Jose's hands, man. I was like, dang, bro, he got the same hands from Clay from Sam Crow, bro.
Sadly, that's where we are.
Hey, dang, you need to holler at Clay and Jim get them shots.
That's where we are.
I know it's hard to tell because we're so far removed from it, but when you talked about us kind of starting to tear apart that team in the early 2000s of all the power hitting bats, that was shortly after Jacobs sold the team.
Yep.
If Jacobs hypothetically was to have remained the owner, do you think we would be going through those payroll problems now?
No, because he spent the money then. He had a plan to recognize and develop early and young talent and lock them up to long-term deals. And that's what they were doing as they were wrapping up play in Municipal Stadium and getting ready for their new house.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing what I hope the Browns are doing as they're getting ready to go to their new house. You got to be on point. When you have a housewarming party, everything's got to be in its place, man. You're not throwing a housewarming party when the boxes are still sitting around.
And this is the reason
why
like Deshaun Watson.
That's when it started. I can just remember, like, the sale happened, Roberto Alomar traded, Manny Ramirez gone, Tommy gone. You just start seeing, like, all those key players just trickle away to other cities and
yet
other
they've
teams.
Still been a consistent playoff team over the last 2 decades, and they've done it on a shoestring budget. That's a testament to the front office. But now all of those glaring weaknesses are coming home to roost. And now there's only one place to look, and that's the owner, who has one of the, if not the lowest payrolls in Major League Baseball. You get what you pay for.
Well, he about to cash out anyway. They cashing out.
Can't happen soon enough.
They cashing
Let's
out.
bring the Blitzer group in here. Hope they open the checkbook and buy some players. I hope this owner's proposal passes.
I do too.
My thinking is the players will give great pushback on it, but if it passes, the Guardians got to open a checkbook and write $100 million worth of checks.
I mean, where do you
and
get
I can't
that?
wait for that.
Where do you get that from? Like, where you get 100? You just got to go to the bank.
If you want to run in this race, you got to have a thoroughbred.
Sheesh.
Don't step up on this stage if you're fluid poor.
No, facts.
Have money to spend a team that this city deserves. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back,